What's up, everyone? Oh shoot, we gotta go over here. Never go to the front of the car, never go to the front. Techno Violet, how are we saying this? Jahre or Jahre? So 50th anniversary M3. We're gonna talk about this a bit when I sort of refer to this. I don't know that I refer to it as an M3. I just took the M3 badge off, like I always do. But it's a freshly deconned, about to be freshly polished. My car has 30 miles on it, something like that. And I just took delivery of it last week, a week and a half ago at the Performance Delivery Center in South Carolina. It hung out at my friend Richard Dean's house up in Spartanburg. And then my transport guys picked it up last night, dropped it off to me at 1:30 a.m. And then this morning we did a live stream, so go check that live stream out on the live section of the YouTube channel if you want to check out the decon. So we decontaminated it in preparation for polish, but I think it's only fair that we make a delivery video or a first walk around video, talk to you about what I optioned on the car. And then we'll talk about what I have planned for it. The parts have already started rolling in from my friends at Precision Sport Industries, PSI in Orlando, and then Keys Motorsports. I think Brian Kiefer's up in New Jersey, I believe. So Keys and Brian and Sean, we did like a Zoom call talking about the plans for this. A really interesting thing about this car from a modification perspective, to do it sort of my level or what I like to do, OEM plus, the list is like a half a page long, whereas like my E92 that's outside has like a 4-pager. You know, I spent $70,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on parts on that car. This one, 10 grand, and we're good to go. So let's go through the factory options, talk about the paint. We'll inspect the condition a little bit. Let me just grab the window sticker and we'll kind of run through this. So the base price of the M3, so this is M3 Comp X-Drive Sedan. So part of the Jahre package, these had like a different allocation. Essentially what happened is I called my friend Tom Walsh from BMW of Wilmington, North Carolina. I also get my Porsches from them. I have a great relationship with them. They treat me well, and I always get to do it my way, where I get to take delivery the way I want, and they don't look down on me for that. We're actually taking delivery of my paint a sample GT3 Touring coming up here soon. But I called Tom, let's say it was 6 months ago, and said, hey, and I said, here's what I want to do. I want to be able to buy a new M3 or M2 every, say, 9 months. With the intent to turn them over every 12 months. I'll either sell it, we'll do a giveaway, we'll figure out something creative to sell the car. I'm going to be lending this car or letting people borrow it for money at Destination OG. I think it's going to be, I got to figure out the numbers on it, but I think it's going to be $1,000 add-on, which will be dirt cheap for you to go drive the mountain roads, drive around town in this thing. It also opens up the house to my friends in the West Coast and other areas of the world that want to come to Helen to experience the Destination OG property. I need a car there for me, so it's a win for everybody. And so I bought this sucker with that intention, and I said, Tom, can I get an M3? He said, well, we'll see. Allocations have been tight. And then this popped up. And so he offered it to me and said, hey, we really can't choose anything on it. You can choose the color, you can choose the seats, you can choose the wheels. That's it. Everything else is fixed as part of the package. So I had no idea what the retail price was going to be. I said, let's do it. It'll be kind of cool to have a special edition. I chose Techno Violet to match my E36 Techno Violet. I was really torn because I love Cinnabar Red. I think it would have been really cool on this car. Also, it would have been cool to match my Interlagos. Interlagos was another option. So those are the 3 colors I was considering, but I don't know. It just seemed to make sense to me to get Techno Violet and match my E36. This car is going to go to Helen. It's going to stay there. We'll talk about the pig nose here in a minute, but this is called the PPN, the purple pig nose is what we're going to call this thing. But 80 grand is the base price for the Comp Package X-Drive. So you didn't have a choice on that either. You had to do Comp Package, and I think you had to do X-Drive on the Jahre. I don't think you could, I don't remember, I think you could have optioned a manual, but I don't think we had the choice. I forget. Competition package, You can't do manual. It does, you know, you guys that have these cars know that, but you can look that up on the side. I forget what our options were. It's amazing how far I've come, and then I just bought the car. I didn't know what the price was. I didn't know what my options were. I spent about 15 minutes picking the color and the brakes, and that was it. Whereas in the past, I mean, like my E92, I knew every detail, every feature. I knew every SKU number of the option package, yeah, I guess I've grown up a bit. I don't know if it's good or bad, but Techno Violet was my choice of color. You had a choice of 5 different colors from all the launches of the various, or the sort of the main color for all of the various E30, E36, E46, E92, and the what's the E92 color? Forget, but not the F80. So those the 5 real M3s, 4 real M3s. So then you get the custom Jahre upholstery package. So the Jahre edition was $89.70 plus $34.30. So it's what, a $12,000 option. So what is that? 11, 12, 12.2, 12.3, $12,000 option for the Jahre package. And so you got the wheels in this sort of bicolor, the sort of satin gunmetal, which I really like. You get the Shadowline lights, the 50-year emblems, which I'm going to tear off. We'll talk about that in a minute. The various carbon fiber trim, interior and exterior, the icon adaptive LED, so the laser lights. So you've got the Shadowline version of the lights, which is I think it's the sort of cutoff and the black. I think the black shadow, I think they add black around the edge of this. You M3 bros can correct me on that. Those of you who have spent more time on this than I have. And folding rear seat, headrest, so wireless charging, and then the special wheel that they give you. Then you didn't have a choice. The parking assistance and the executive package, I'm pretty sure these weren't an option either. You had to get those as part of the package. And then the options I did do was the carbon ceramics and the M carbon buckets. So it was another, was that $13,000 for that. So $109,695. I paid sticker for the car. I didn't pay a premium for it. That's the relationship I have with the guys. And so that's the version of this car. Now this is a 2023, so it gets iDrive 8. So this has the iDrive 8 version. And we'll show you that here in a second with CarPlay and all that crap. So the Jahre car has, so you have the Shadowline package, Shadowline, all this, I think all this is standard Shadowline, but the base Shadowline, this here, Shadowline just means scratched up black paint, basically. Really soft, scratched up black stuff. So the Jahre comes with these badges, which I think are hideous. So I'll be taking these off and doing the IND black badges, which I think will match perfectly with this. It comes with the black X-Drive and black M3 badge, which I've already taken off. And I think power trunk is standard. Jahre gives you the M Performance rear little deck spoiler, and then the M Performance front lip as well. So you get the M Performance front lip. I'll be taking off the grills, putting Vorsteiners on, and then of course the Techno Violet paint. So believe it or not, those of you who are not, okay, good, no rock chips yet. Believe it or not, right from the factory, right from the Performance Delivery Center, or right from your dealer, this thing really needs to get polished. The paint is pretty janky, so we're gonna get that dialed in. I'm gonna polish it here, start it today. Then I'm gonna do some polishing of this thing, and then it's gonna get PPF. So gonna get the PPF on the whole front clip. Don't do any lines, never do the lines. It's gonna cause more harm than good. We will do the headlights, which is a little dicey. We'll do probably up to here, so I will end up with some sort of line. I don't think we'll do the whole A-pillar, so I'm either gonna have to stop it here or somewhere, but I'm gonna do the whole roof. So we'll do the roof, the mirrors, the front clip, and then the high impact area on the back here. Again, I'm gonna have this car for 9 months, 12 months. It's gonna get driven around the mountains largely by itself. There won't be there better not be any highway driving on this. This will be back road, mountain road driving, so most of the impact is going to be back here. You know, occasionally they'll be doing some lead follow stuff where you have somebody in front, but I would ask them to, not get the front end all jacked up if you're riding through some rock areas. So most of the impacts are going to come here. I'm not worried about, I don't want to spend $7-8 grand to have this whole car PPF'd. It's not worth that much to me. You know, this isn't like a super special car. Yeah, the Jahre may make it a little bit more valuable, but this is not going to be an appreciating car. Certainly not. They're going to make a zillion of these things. So you can see on the interior, see the carbon bucket seats. They're freaking cool. They're fantastic to sit in. And then you have like the stitched and the stitched headrest as part of the package. You can see the carbon fiber backs of the carbon buckets. You have the number plate, the 1 of 500 number plate that were brought here to the US. I think, did they do the M4 in Europe? I'm not sure. You have the little emblem, little badge thing here. These seats are dicey. It's hard to get around the bolster. You know, like on the Porsche Sport buckets, you can very easily bring your hamstring up and over, but because of where the door is placed on the M3, I'm sure the M4 is probably a little easier to deal with. This is going to get kind of banged up here, but I'm a not so spry, chubby old man, and these seats fit me really well. And there's something about this feels like if we're going to sell our soul, this car is sold. Soul is gone. There's no soul in this car at all. It's all digital. It's handed in its engagement for power, torque, horsepower, torque, and fancy digital power trunk, power mirrors, super comfortable multi-zone climate control, all of the modern comforts you would want. iDrive 8 is this really impressive dual screen that's wraparound screen. The audio system's pretty decent. You've got a zillion buttons on the steering wheel. Full, all-wheel drive, automatic, paddle shifting, ZF automatic. So we've sold out. There's nothing in this car that has anything to do with the previous gen M3s other than the purple. Like, this is not, to me, this is some like iteration of an M5. This is a really big, really practical family car, really safe car, extremely fast car, handles extremely well. But there's no hearkening back to the past. This is just pure new. I don't know if that's, for most people, it's probably a good thing. For me, it's not great. For the utility of this, like, I would never have bought this car because of the pig nose and because of the digitalness of this. I would have never bought one of these had I not had some very specific purpose. This is going to do really well in the mountains. It's going to be really reliable. It's going to be safe for people that are driving it. For me that's driving it, all-wheel drive is going to be fantastic on those back roads. You can turn it off and put it in two-wheel drive. The one thing that is disappointing that I didn't realize, and maybe there's some coding that we can do, but you can't, from what I can tell, you can't go into two-wheel drive mode on the xDrive car without turning off full stability control, full traction control, which I don't like that idea. But you can see the screen is freaking insane, heads-up display. It has like an MTAC. It is really an incredible setup. I mean, the thing just has awesome tech, awesome interior, super well done. The one thing that is disappointing, the dash is plastic. All of this is plastic. The base of the doors is plastic. So it's well done plastic, but you couldn't opt in the Jahre cars. You couldn't opt for full leather. So full leather was not an option on this particular version. You can see the little badge here. I would have bought a manual, and I probably would have done a non-Jahre car, but because of the purpose of, everybody says they can drive a manual, but if everybody's level of being able to drive a manual is different. So despite the fact that I would have loved to have a manual car, You know, the ZF is, again, very digital, works extremely well, much faster than the manual. The size of this car makes me think automatic, makes me think, you know, I would drive in manual mode, paddle shifting. Some things that kind of stink about this, like the Porsche, you can pull the paddles and engage neutral. You can't do that on this. Also, the click of the paddle is very, again, feels very video gamey, feels very clicky. The Porsche has more feedback, there's more pull. It's more of a pull than just a little basic digital click. There's not a lot of feedback to the click here. And these are plastic. It's like probably fake carbon fiber, so it's like a little carbon inlaid piece of plastic. So this would be an upgrade. I'm sure I&D or somebody will come out with, like 3D or something, will come up with a bigger, I think I'd like a slightly bigger looking, better looking, a little bit more solid paddle would be kind of cool. But all the screens, the sports screens and all that stuff, we'll go through that when we go for a drive after we get the thing dialed in. And I'll also be making some how-to videos because it is a pretty darn complicated car. But full, you know, nav, iDrive 8 is pretty interesting. The climate and everything is done by button. And they have some like automatic program, which I find really annoying. Supposedly the automatic program of your climate control will learn what you like, but the first 2 times I've gotten in it, the seat heaters were on, it was blasting heat. So I've kind of turned that off, but maybe we'll try to train it. But no longer any real buttons. You have your forward advance button here. You have your volume and power on off here. You have your defroster buttons, and your, you know, obviously your flashers here, but not a lot of, you know, no longer a lot of function. Everything is on the screen. I don't know that it really matters that much to me. I don't do a lot of stuff in a car. I don't really mess with it much. I'm going to go, when I get in the car, I'm going to go M1 mode, and I'm going to run it sport, comfort, sport. So sport brake, comfort, steering, sport suspension, sport throttle, and then I usually hit M mode so that I have the M display in the heads-up display. But this car I mean, you feel disconnected from the road because of how digital and how fancy and how nice it is, but you feel like you're in a modern fighter jet. That's the best way I can explain it. But these seats, I mean, these seats are darn near perfection. There's no slop. There's no sliding around. It takes a little while to get used to something, you know, riding up in your gooch there. You know, you gotta get used to that. It feels like I keep thinking my cell phone's like in between my legs or something. So you got to get used to that. But this thing in the mountains is going to be incredible. I mean, it is going to rip. It is going to be extremely fast, extremely heavy, extremely big, but extremely capable with all-wheel drive. And I got lucky in that I got Pilot Sport 4S's, so I got the best tires. But I mean, I'm telling you, I got to get a radar detector in this thing right away because you feel almost invincible in this thing. That is the real positive of a modern BMW, of a modern fancy, if you will. I love the carbon roof, no goofy sunroof. I do like that you have the hold handle here, which is pretty rare. Most cars don't have that, which I like. And then it has just typical nice BMW headliner. It's not Alcantara like it would be like an M5 or a 7 Series. You know, this here is all plastic, but it's nice plastic. So you have leather where it matters, none where it doesn't. I'm telling you, I know a lot of you don't like the look of this screen, but if we're going this far, we might as well go for it. I think it's fantastic. The mirror is also pretty cool, how they have, you don't see like the bulk of the plastic surround on it. It looks like a solid, you know, mirror. The lighting in this thing is pretty cool as well. You can change the colors and stuff if you wanted to. But it's pretty legit. Let me sit in the back. I think I sat in the back of this, so this is where I would drive. Let's see how functional the back of this. I find that M3s tend to be more functional than M5s because the M5 trunk is a lot bigger. But here's the big problem. So I'm 6'2", this is where I sit. Now I need to get out of the car. and I can get out easily, but I'm gonna roll on this bolster over and over and over and over again. And there's not a really great way around it. So in my GT3, the way that I do it is I go heel of the hand, so the heel of my palm right on the sill. But that heel on the GT3 is back here. You know, it's back, so I can swing my hamstring over. This one's a little bit more complicated because the doorway, like the seat, is behind the doorway on the, you know, on a 2-car, or I'm sure on the M4 it's like this as well. With the bigger door, you have more room. Now, if you're shorter and your seat's closer, you won't have this problem. But if I tried moving my seat up, but then the steering wheel gets in the way and I can't get my freaking legs past it. So I'm gonna fight like this. I think what I do is put this hamstring on the gooch protector here, the gooch toucher, and I try to swing as much as I can and then push up to try not to destroy the bolster. But this bolster is gonna get jacked up, I just know it. Especially people who get in the car for the first time. So getting in, I think, is a little easier, in that I kind of palm the side here like this, and then just kind of pull my hamstring like this, and then come and slide in place. But I find that trying to get my hand here, it wants to slide down because I don't have any momentum. So I have to bring my hand here, go up onto the gooch, come here, grab the steering wheel, and go out. It's not super easy, but it's a little easier because you don't sink in as much as a Porsche. So it's easier, be easier to get out of, but less comfortable, and you're touching the bolster a lot more. So let's see how practical the back seat would be with me, someone my size driving, and someone my size sitting behind. This would be a little bit tight. I mean, not really. I've got darn near fistful of headroom. I mean, this is like your, you know, successful 32-year-old, you know, dad, and you got a kid, you know, got a couple of young kids. You could put the rear-facing baby seat here in the middle. You've got iPad chargers here, USB-C. They finally made that transition. And I mean, you've got yourself freaking awesome. If I had kids, if I was riding with people in the back, I would probably PPF this. You know, so your kids aren't totally destroying it. But even if they did, you could very easily correct the back of the seat. But I think if you spent $4,500 on the seat, I think I'd be torn. I would certainly do it, you know, if I was 32 and this was my main car, and this is what I was driving the family around in, I'd probably still suffer with the buckets, but it may make sense to not get the bucket seats, and then you can solve a lot of problems. But, you know, with me driving, or if you're, let's say you're 5'10" or 5'8" or something, you're a little bit shorter, your seat would be quite a bit further forward. I mean, this is pretty darn comfy. You know, it's, see what it feels like. Oh yeah, this is incredible. Like super, super practical, man. I mean, that's what's great about the big, bulky chubbiness of this car, is that you get the functionality of it. So this, to me, you know, is a $110,000 5 Series. It's really what it is. You know, it's not really an M3 anymore. There's nothing about this, not one thing, that harkens back to an E30 or an E36 or an E92 or an E40. Nothing about it is like it. You know, it's turboed. I guess it's inline 6 turbo. I mean, that would be the only thing. But I do like this engine. Let's see if I can get my foot out of here. That was a little tricky part. Okay, not too bad. The engine, the S58. Let's pop the hood here, talk about what the plan here was with this. The S58, to me, is finally something that I'm interested in. It pulls like a freight train, tons of torque. Doesn't, I think the red line's, what, 500 RPM less than the S55, the F80 engine. But there's no fart on this car, and they did an equal length connection, equal length part of the mid pipe to help with sound. So the equal length section is not part of the mid pipe, it's pre-mid pipe. I think it's part of the down pipe. But we're doing the PSI mid pipe and Acura exhaust rear section on this car. I'm sure the Acura won't last very long with me, but this frickin' thing is like a gosh darn modern marvel. This engine is insane. So I'm gonna put this puppy on it. Here's another 100 horsepower. If I forget what Brian Kiefer did, so this is the Daler piggyback, because the ECUs really aren't flashable, at least without sending it to Russia or some shady place. So just a base piggyback, which, you know, you can say what you want about a piggyback, but you know, we should be able to do pretty safe, stable power on this thing. Eventuri intake. I'm gonna do the Eventuri cover. Keys Motorsport, strut tower brace, the carbon fiber brace. That'll be basically it for the front here. I'm going to leave the front lip alone. Vorsteiner gloss black grills will be going on. Like I said, we'll do the PPF on the front, and then this sucker's done. Like making boost, bros. You can see the laser headlights. Pretty cool. The only thing I don't love is there's a big yellow sticker inside of it. See that? That's kind of junk. Yeah, I don't love that. Yeah, like it's down here, like I thought so. It's in the light. See that thing down in there? So this has changed, I'm pretty sure. I don't think the other cars had this grille in the front here. So there's a brake duct behind. I'm pretty sure the 2022s didn't have this extra grille piece. And so I just got carbon fiber brake ducts, but I don't think that's necessary. We're going to put them on anyway if they fit. We'll see if they fit. But the gloss black Vorsteiners will help with the hideous pig nose. Not much I can do about it. There's a big scratch right there. I have the IND black badges coming. I'm going to do AST springs. You know, say what you want. Coilovers, whatever. I always do coilovers on my cars. Yeah, this thing is pretty freaking sophisticated. You know, it's got a lot going on with the suspension, stability control systems. I don't know why, it just occurs to me, like, since this is my mountain car, I want it to be reliable. I don't want to be tweaking it and messing with suspension settings. I'm just going to lower it a little bit. So we'll put spacers, lower it, help with the goofy wheel gap here. Have the IND fender reflector replacements coming. I'm going to leave these alone. I think these are fine the way they are. I'm not going to do anything. I don't ever do them. The mirrors match the other side stuff, so I don't think I'm going to mess with carbon fiber mirror caps unless they get too scratched up. But 12 millimeter spacers front and rear, AST springs. We'll leave the stock shocks. I only have the car for a little while anyway. It should be fine. I mean, when you get up in the 100,000 mile range, that's when you got to worry about shocks and springs. So we'll lose a little bit of suspension travel, but we'll gain some, a little less body roll, make the car a little bit better looking. We'll tint the windows as well. I'm going to go a little lighter tint on this, just because it's going to be in the mountains and we're going to be, you know, not highway driving and not, you know, it's a little cooler up there in North Georgia than it is here in Florida. But after the paint correction, I am probably going to do CSU, Crystal Serum Ultra, on this thing. And then we'll take the wheels off, do CarPro Deluxe, 2 coats of Deluxe, 1 coat of Gliss, denib the tires, and I'll do probably the, I don't know, I got to order a radar detector. I might just do the Escort Redline 360C is what I was planning on doing on this thing. So I'm going to try to avoid the front at all costs if I can help, and just sit behind the wheel as much as possible and enjoy the precision of selling your soul for just pure performance. I mean, this car, you know, modified, set up properly, decimates all, you know, all in this class. And that's what, you know, BMW gave us. I mean, I guess that's what most people want. I would prefer soul. I would prefer flaws. You know, that's why I think the E-Series cars are so much, to me, so much more preferred to me than the F and G Series versions of these monsters. I mean, this is a big, big, big car. And it would be a big, nice M5 if they just would have not done the stupidness on the front end there. It wasn't so freaking ugly. And I'm telling you, I know people say, well, it's going to grow on you, Matt. It's just, ugly can't be fixed. You can't fix ugly. I mean, it's ugly. It's not going to grow on me. I'm stuck with it. I'm just going to stay, I think this angle, other than being so big and fat, it's tough. I mean, this car looks tough. Those exhaust tips are pretty freaking sweet too for stock exhaust and performance exhaust tips. So that's the G80 M3. We're going to polish it up, make it look insane. We're going to get it next to my Techno Violet E36. This is true Techno Violet. Lots of people were saying, because just the way the lighting was or my photos looked, people were like, it looks different. It's the same. I mean, I had the car right next to it, and once I get it polished and coated and have the same, same setup, we'll have some PPF on it with the same, protection layer that I have on the E36. It'll look pretty much the same. So, yeah, this puppy is going to come together, and we're going to drive it. This is a scalpel that I bought for a specific purpose. And without the Helen experience, without that whole Destination OG, I wouldn't be buying one of these. But for that purpose, I think this is going to suit me really well. I think longer term, we'll probably end up making the transition to the M2. The G87 M2, to me, will make a little bit more sense. I really don't want to encourage people to be loading up 5 people and driving around in my car. The purpose of this car is to go drive the mountain roads there. It's not to go hiking and fishing. So what people should be doing is they fly in, they rent a car, drive the rental around, and take this out on the mountain roads and take care of it like you would your own. That's what I'm going to ask people to do. And yeah, so anyway, G80, Jahre 50th G80 Techno Violet. We'll see you on some polishing and some modification videos.